Man, it just seems like the buzz for Byrum Brown's going to grow and grow and grow until the season gets here.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Jake Crain hanging out with us with the new on 3/4 zip, looking very, very sharp. My friend, host of Crain and Cone. Happy to have you on. I want to talk about what Auburn basketball needs to do moving forward, as well as you guys put out you guys rank the toughest schedules. Obviously, Auburn's on there. What does that mean for Alex Golesh in year one? But man, I've just seen more. Some of it's been interviews that you guys have done on your show and elsewhere. It's like all these folks are putting out these top 10 quarterback lists, and then they want to also mention Byron Brown, but nobody's quite bold enough to say, you know what? No, Byron Brown is a top 10 quarterback based off of what we did in South Florida, and he will take that step. It's like they're not quite bold enough to do it, even though I think they are kind of trying to hedge their bets here just in case he is that good.
Well, and Zach, when you look at these lists, obviously there's a big difference between, where players and quarterbacks would be projected to go in the NFL draft and the ones that are playing college. I mean, you just look at a guy like Diego Pavia, for example. He's not going to be a top pick, probably will never start a game in the NFL, but he was an incredibly effective college quarterback. So when we did our list, that's what we went off of. Not only are they returning, but we're not talking about the NFL, because Julian Sand, I think, would be pretty high on an NFL, projection list, but not as high on the returning quarterbacks if I had to go get one myself. We did a list where we consolidated all three of our individual ones. I had Byron Brown at 10. I think you can make a case for him really anywhere outside of the top 5. I mean, you look at the PFF grades, and I really, don't subscribe to that as much. He was pretty high in both, but his skill set really translates in college, and I'm interested to see. The only worry that I have, and until he actually shows it, I'm not going to feel better about, is one, can you have that type of workload running the ball that he had at South Florida in the SEC against the defenses you're going to face? That's going to be tough. We don't want you drinking through a straw for the rest of your life after this season. The second thing is, if the run game is not working, is he good enough to consistently throw you to a win? I'm not saying Drew Brees. I'm not saying Dan Marino, just to be able to throw it good enough. I mean, look, Nick Marshall was a different type runner. He really threw two routes. He threw the dig and he threw the post. If the safety bit on the dig, he'd throw the post. If the safety stayed high, he'd throw the dig. Outside of that, his bag wasn't super deep, but he was effective because of the running ability. So I think if you're going to make that projection, you have to sit here and say, well, Auburn's going to be able to run the ball well enough to get good matchups and coverages on the outside, and Byron Brown's going to be good enough, consistently enough, to take advantage of that. That's the question I have, but he's got a chance to be really special. This offensive line is going to really have to carry their load, and if they do, Auburn can put up some points.
Yeah, and obviously a quarterback can't do it by himself. He could be a massive part of it, but like you said, offensive line, the receivers, I could see a path to, all of these offensive positions working out. I really can. It's just they have to do it. They have to work out, and I do think Byrum can help with that. I mean, he ran it 175 times last year. There's no way he rushes it for 170 times this season, right?
You would hope not. I mean, we had Kirk Herbstreit on Monday, and we talked. He actually brought up Byron Brown. If you haven't seen that episode, he's the one who brought Byron Brown up.
We played it here and shouted you guys out.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. But again, if you watch South Florida at all, and I did because I'm a college football junkie, whenever they had to go to the well, he was keeping it. Okay, if it was 3rd and short, if it was 4th and short, or if it was a drive to end a game or get into position to win a game, he was the one who was keeping it. So they leaned on him a lot. I don't think you're going to see that type of clip. I really hope not, because if you do see that, then I think Auburn's just trying to win games with one guy, and that's not going to work out. He's not going to make it through the season. But as a defensive guy, and anybody out there who's listening to this or watching this that has ever coached defense or played defense, you understand that sometimes the threat can be as valuable as the result. And what I mean by that is if he's able to run it effectively enough where he is a problem for the defense, that means you have to hold that backside in. That means you got to always find where this guy is. The motions become more effective. Your split zone things, your gap scheme things, your influences become more effective. Your play action becomes more effective. There's a world in which he runs it half the time, but is still as effective. So to me, I'm going to be interested to see how much they go to him early in the year. You start off with Baylor, so you're going to have to go out there and play well. I would hope that number would be around 110 this season is what I really and again, taking off and scrambling, that's another thing that he's going to do. He'd be a 2-read and let it bleed guy to me. Just take off. But I think you'll see a big drop in the amount of times he carries the ball.
Yeah, I think I'm there with you. And I mean, you've obviously got a stable of running backs there that would make
best Auburn's had in a long time.
You got to use them. I mean, you've got 4 guys that I feel totally comfortable with you handing them the football in a key situation, which so you got to use them. One of the things that Alex Golesh said in his first ever presser as Auburn's head coach, his introductory one, I thought it was extremely aware, and it actually made me feel significantly better about him as a coach. When he talked about when he followed Heupel from UCF to Tennessee, they had this conversation about, well, we've got to do different things. We can't do the exact same thing. Some of that has to do with competition, level of athletes. And also just there's a different style of football. Scheme is different from conference to conference and level to level. So we made that adjustment. And then when we went from Tennessee back to USF, we kind of shifted back, did a little bit more similar things what we did at UCF. And now, obviously, going to Auburn, we're going to have to adjust and do what's best to win football games at this level again. It's that kind of comment that makes me think, okay, I don't think you can rush your quarterback 175 times.
Well, no, I think, and again, football is cyclical. It's funny. It goes in cycles. I mean, let's think about it. The RPO has taken over the game. Well, what is RPO? It's the triple option with a pass built into it. It went from a pitch to a pass. So in reality, you're running a similar thing they did back in the day when we were fighting the Germans and stuff, and right after that, I mean, you're not getting under center as much outside of the academies, but it's kind of the same thought process of putting 3 areas in conflict at once. You're just doing it in a different way. And look, typically offenses evolve. Defense is a reactionary side of the ball, so typically defense catches up. When Gus Malzahn, but before him and Auburn parted ways, you felt like one of the things that cost him is he never really evolved. Right? He gave you this brand new thing. He was an innovator. He wrote a book about it and then really not only did not evolve, but kind of regressed a little bit when you look at pace and things like that. You always, if you're not evolving, you're dissolving. You have got to be able to stay one step ahead of the defense so when they catch up, you're already on to the next thing. So Golesh understands that, but at the end of the day, when you run the style of system that Golesh wants and that Joel Gordon want, and you want to mix the RPO with speed, you want to mix the wide split, some people call it the wide choice, what you're trying to do is 2 things. You're trying to catch the defense when you use pace. It's not just about getting the defense tired. That's a misconception. That's a good symptom of what happens, but what you're trying to do is catch the defense in their base alignment so you know what they are doing. So you make the math problem from algebra to simple addition. That's why when Tennessee and Hendon Hooker and them were just absolutely cooking with Heupel, they were able to operate so efficiently at such a fast speed that the defense did not have time to check. The defense did not have time to disguise. They are showing you what they're doing. Therefore, you know the math problem. There's no letters in it. Let's go get it. So it's about doing what the defense is going to give you. But if you can operate at a very efficient level with that speed, the math problem is pretty much already done for you. So you always have a way to attack them in a place that you feel is advantageous, whether that be in the run, whether that be spitting out the now screen, whether that be taking advantage of the middle to deep third. So I think it's kind of built in, to put it that way, and that's the best way you can go about it. So I'm not worried about him getting stuck in the mud or going back to a default setting too many times. He's always going to put his team or offense in a position to be able to take advantage of the numbers or the grass, as some people call it.
Yeah, love it. So Byron Brown, Alex Golesh, they know each other quite well. They don't know the schedule that they're about to face as far as the difficulty of it. You guys have them as a top 5 hardest schedule in college football. Let's jump into that in just a moment, right after this quick quick word from our friends at Mazda.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. Dawn Staley and South Carolina remain on top of the SEC standings after handing Tennessee their worst defeat in program history with a final score of 93-40. In the 43-point win, South Carolina shot 69% from the field. Tessa Johnson had a perfect shooting night, scoring 24 points, shooting 4 for 4 from the floor, including 2 threes, and made all 4 of her free throws. And UCLA remains undefeated in Big Ten play, topping Michigan 69-66 as Player of the Year contender Lauren Betts put up a double-double, scoring 16 points, collecting 16 rebounds, and adding 5 assists and 3 blocks. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Jake Crain of Crain and Cone hanging out with us. So you guys rank the top 10 hardest college football schedules going into the season. And shocker, Auburn's towards the top of the list. You guys had them at 5. I don't think that's surprising at all. But just to go in order, you guys had Ohio State, Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, and then Auburn.
Yeah.
How should that, in your mind, impact expectations for Alex Golesh, Byrum Brown, everything new happening in this Auburn football program?
Well, you know, I've come on here for years and said it, and I still think it's true that the standard should never change. I think reality has to be understood, but the standard should never change. So going into a season saying, well, man, if we could just win 6 games, you know, that'd be great. The minute you start doing that, that's why when Hugh said that last year, it just reeked of weakness. And I know he didn't mean it like that, but at the end of the day, the expectation should be high. But if you're out here saying, well, Auburn should go undefeated, well, I mean, that's kind of nuts. So to me, when I look at a number, you know, I think 8, anything 8 or over, which is going to be tough with the schedule. I mean, to be honest with you, you pretty much got to start out 4-0. I know the Baylor game is a home game that's being played in Mercedes-Benz. I know you've talked about that. You should be better than Baylor. You get Southern Miss at home. You get Florida in game 3 early, which is, I promise you're going to want Florida early. I would much rather play Florida early than play Florida late. You get Vandy at home right after that one. Diego Pavia, thank God the Auburn Slayer is not there anymore.
He's gone. Can't hurt us anymore.
Please, it's like when they killed Voldemort, man. Everybody's excited. Just let us go to school. But then after that, I mean, you're at Tennessee, you're at Georgia, you get LSU at home, you're at Ole Miss. Then you got Arkansas at Mississippi State, Sanford. Then you're at Bama. I mean,
that middle chunk is brutal.
That middle chunk is
brutal.
It's just getting hit with a 2x4. So you got to do a lot of your work early. But I do see a world in which Auburn can start 4-0. We'll see what Tennessee is at quarterback. We're still waiting to see with Aguilar, which I think we'll find about later this week. But
Aguilar and Trinidad.
Trinidad.
I think how you look at those 2 games could shift dramatically, depending on what happens in the court system.
100% true. So it's going to be a really tough schedule, but if you're an Auburn fan, I mean, it never gets any easier. I don't think it'll ever get easier. I'm 36 years, godly, I'm 36. I'm 36 years old, and I can never remember one time in my life, even growing up, be like, man, this year's schedule is cake at Auburn. So I'm used to it, but yeah, they're going to have to get off to a good start, build that insurance policy up, and I don't think 8 is unrealistic.
Yeah. I mean, I really think from an argument standpoint, like the last 2 years have probably been the easiest. I can remember our schedule being in a while. We just totally wasted it.
Again, it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I would much rather have an ACC schedule, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So some of this is perception, right? Like, what do you think of year 1 Lane Kiffin at LSU? What do you think of Tennessee going into the season, and what happens with Aguilar?
I hope they're all terrible. I hope they're all terrible.
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be
LSU is going to be
relief.
good though? Like LSU is going to be. We get them at home. Thank goodness.
And you're talking about getting Florida early. Like I wish we could get LSU early too, because I kind of got a feeling they're going to have a few bumps, but once they get going, they could be pretty good.
Yeah, if Levitt stays healthy, they're going to be a problem.
How big is that if, I guess, is the question I'm asking. I mean, to go back to the quarterback thing, like a lot of people are having Levitt as like 5 or 6 in their quarterback rankings. And I'm just like, I don't know if you could do that. I'm not there with Sam Levitt yet.
Well, I think it's a couple things. One, Levitt has a ton of ability. I mean, you watch him play. There were times. It was him, Scatabo, and Tyson that led them 2 years ago. When he's healthy, he's a true dual threat. And I mean, he can skate too. I mean, he can really run. But it's a foot injury, and with a foot injury, you know that if you've ever had it, I mean, I've had it. I broke my foot twice. It's tough to get back from and really trust it. It's always say it's the knee of the foot. But when you look at a Lane Kiffin offense, it's just like, I'm not going to doubt a Brent Venables defense. I'm not going to doubt a Lane Kiffin offense. He took Trinidad Chambliss, who was an insurance policy, and now every defensive coordinator in college football is praying that Trinidad Chambliss doesn't come back. I mean, Ole Miss made the Final Four of college football. So it's like me worrying about going into my grandmother's kitchen when she's cooking chicken and wondering if it's going to be good. No, it's going to be amazing. Because that is what it is. So I would not count on LSU being bad, especially if Sam Levitt is healthy.
Yeah. I think it goes back to that Florida game. Like if Auburn could beat Florida, it really opens up. I mean, it's a ceiling and a floor changer. Like everything changes if you beat Florida.
You feel like you should be able to line up and run it down Baylor's throat. Like I would not be shocked if we looked up next year and Auburn ran for 350 yards against Baylor. I would not. I mean,
that opening line was pretty jarring. Like 7.5. I mean, that's such a big difference from a year ago. And I know both situations are different in both schools, but that line was a little bit wider than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, it's just you look at Baylor, you feel like it's kind of a lame duck situation with Dave Aranda. Now Lagway's there. You know he's talented, but
like, what does that even mean? You know?
He's also great at throwing it to the other team. So, and he's not going to have, as down as Florida has been, he's not going to have the level of talent that they had at Florida. Is Michael Trigg coming back, or is he going to the NFL?
I believe he's in the draft.
Oh, thank God! Please get that thing out of here. I do not want to see that one again.
I believe he's in the draft. Yeah. So
I'd draft him.
Yeah. It's just off of his week 1 tape alone. Goodness gracious. So obviously a tough road for Auburn, but we'll see what happens with Golesh moving forward. What does Auburn basketball need to do? Another brutal loss. Goodness gracious. That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at TurboTax. Yes, no one likes doing their taxes. Yes, it feels like this cloud that just follows you around and rains on you until you finally do your taxes. Well, with TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or the guesswork. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert did not file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Jake Crain hanging out with us of Crain and Cone. Tough stretch for Stephen Pearl and this Auburn basketball team. And I mean, I think a lot of people kind of expected us to snap back against Vandy, and it just never happened, Jake. And so now three losses in a row, 2 of them particularly tough because of who they were against and just being at home. And now you go on the road to Arkansas to play a team that's playing much better than when you faced them a few weeks ago and you ran them out of your own gym. Like it's a tough spot for Steven. Steven's getting a lot of heat, and I don't know if you can really fix the problem at this point in the season.
Yeah, to your point, I think the first thing you got to understand is Steven was just like, this is not really the way you want to go into your first year when you look at the way this went down. Look, he's the head coach. I think he'd be the first one to come on here and say, look, put the blame on me. I think that's the type dude he is. And, you know, Bruce Pearl is the best thing that ever happened to Auburn basketball. I will not say a bad word about Bruce Pearl. But you do feel like he was left one of the worst Auburn teams without, a true post presence too, that we've seen in a while. And if you look at the way this team has fluctuated, it just seems like there's this emotional immaturity to this team, not like Chad Baker Mazzara, where just crazy stuff's happening or you're doing things like extracurricular things, but it doesn't seem like this team plays very smart. It's hard for me to understand how you can continue to get these flagrant fouls. Let the guy make the layup. Don't grab him. I would much rather, we just don't play smart. Vanderbilt just outsmarted us, to be honest.
100%.
From the jump.
Every possession. Yes.
I mean, how the first possession of the game, you leave Tyler Nickel wide open, shocks me. But I know Steven's going over these things. I just think they missed in the portal. I think you brought in a guy, and Keyshawn Hall is an amazing scorer. Amazing scorer. But what else does he give you? Never been in the NCAA tournament. Keyshawn Murphy, who I think has been playing better than he was. I think he's healthier. Never won anything. Like, a lot of these guys have never won anything. So you had to replace all that. Tahad now has to be the guy. He's still not a great defender. I just don't think this team is A, super talented or deep, and then B, they just don't play smart. Like, just multiple things during the game. Like, the technical foul on Keyshawn Hall, I really don't mind that one that much. Because I thought the officiating was horrible. I think Pat Adams should be federally investigated. But that's a story for another day. But we just don't do smart things, and it's tough to not be deep, not have a big post presence, and then not be smart. And it's just costing them. You're not going to win games this way. And to be honest with you, I think there's a pretty decent chance this team ain't going to make the tournament the way that they're playing. We'll see.
Yeah, which, I mean, I just got chills when you said that, but like, you're probably right. And it's awful. It's
But like, I'm not going to
awful.
sit here and judge Steven off of this. Like, it's not like you give me, a C+ roster and you're playing in the SEC and you play the top 3 schedule in the country. I just don't think they've got the guys physically or mentally. I just don't. It's tough. It's tough to just try and outcoach everybody.
Yeah, and there were plenty of additions that they brought in that I do think were more for the future than what they have. But I don't know if they thought Tahad would take a step, and I don't know if he really has. I mean, he's playing better as of late as far as scoring, but he's not what I thought he would be up to this point this season. And then you can't take him off the floor because Magwood isn't where you thought he would be at this point in the season. And so to me, like, that's sure the post situation's not ideal, but like I'm more frustrated with point guard production than anything else.
Well, here's the problem. When you're Tahad's size and you're a liability on defense, if you're not scoring, like, it's tough. Now, look, he's a really good passer of the ball. I don't think he's handled the ball very well. This year overall. It's if you're little like that and you're not scoring, it's very, very tough to be an effective player. And you saw Alabama take advantage of him in a lot of moments. The part I think that I'm most disappointed in is you would think if Alabama just came in and beat you again for the second straight year on your home floor in a big game in which you had a 10-point lead. I mean, can somebody come out pissed off against Vanderbilt? Like, can you come out fired up?
Pride.
No, well, I just like, and I know Steven is obviously it's very important to him to win, and that the jungle maintains its, veracity and all that stuff. But just came out and just like blah. Like, I don't know, I'd be chomping at the bit to come out there, man. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
To make up for that, you're still in the fight, and then you come out and just get drug around by Vandy pretty much the whole game. I just don't understand that mentality.
Yeah, I don't either. Jake, what are you up to these days? How can people check out everything you've got going on?
Oh man, look, we're talking about everything. We're about to start dipping into college basketball as we get closer to March Madness. But talked about Auburn. Really 2 days in a row. Went over the top quarterbacks with Herb Street. You can catch that on the Crain YouTube channel, spelled like it sounds. And then when we did the toughest schedules with Pollock, Auburn was up there at 5. So yeah, we're talking a little bit of everything. So come over and hang out with us.
Yeah, please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.